I want to get more informed here in being or trying to be a better ally or the best ally that I can be when marginalized communities are under threat or are vulnerable. And I guess that gets dismissed as virtue signaling, but like I've got a lot of learning to do around not being okay with this woman because of the transphobia that there is in this country being a state representative in Montana and being someone who can't speak freely around freedom and democracy because the government is working to marginalize her and what it is that she is fighting for because people don't understand the transgender movement and they're fighting over it. And they're here to tell you that Representative Zephyr is some sort of predator as opposed to what the trans community so often is, which is prey, which is, under attack and besieged violently and in the worst of ways by powerful people going after the most vulnerable of communities. So I want to understand it better. And I thank you, Representative Zephyr, for joining us, Zooey. And I want to talk to you about Dwayne Wade fleeing the state of Florida because he doesn't feel safety for his daughter. But I'd also like to just talk sports with you because Mike Ryan is obsessed with the Panthers and wants to talk about the forecheck. And I don't know which way to go with this interview.
We can talk Houston Dynamo too. Unbeatable at home. I mean, they just don't let teams score right now. I don't get it.
Listen, they're an early team. They'll fade. They'll fade as the Texas Heat comes out. So will the Dynamo.
Do you think the Heat has something to do with the Knicks' performance when they come down to Miami? Because that's what Jalen Rose and Mike Greenberg, who's played many games in the NBA himself, that's what they think.
You travel to Texas, you come with an excuse in your pocket. That's what I've always learned.
Can you tell me what's going on with Montana for those who don't care for me, sounding like I'm sermonizing? Just what's happening to you seems just deeply unfair and not very American, but my guess is that you feel from every angle that you're under siege and you're trying to represent something differently in government in America.
Yeah, like politicians do, I went through my community and talked to them as I was campaigning and said, what are the issues that matter to you? What do you care about? And I heard, housing, healthcare, human rights. Those are the big three. And so when I go onto my House floor, I speak on those bills passionately. As a member of the trans community, when a bill targets my community, I speak about that as well. And we'd seen a litany of attacks against the LGBTQ community, targeting our art forms, our histories, allowing people to bully us in schools and to deny us healthcare. And I spoke out against one of those bills, speaking to real harm. There was an ER doctor who reached out to us and said a patient came in suicidal. And when they were talking to them, the trans patient said, my state doesn't want me. That's why this happened. There was a trans teenager who attempted to take her life while watching one of these hearings. So when I stood up to testify to my colleagues who were going to vote yes on that bill, I wanted to make it clear, if you vote for this bill, there's real harm. There are deaths that will be on your hands.
Well, the terminology was objected to, right? It's not just death. You said blood on your hands. That's why you got kicked out, correct?
I said, there is blood on your hands. And after that, the speaker said, I'm not going to call on you anymore. Not just on these bills, but any bill. And I said, in doing so, it's not just me and my free speech you're taking away. You have stripped my constituents of their right to be heard. And my constituents and many people from Montana came to a rally to support me and went and watched hours worth of hearings on the House floor. And when I rose to speak and the speaker denied me, they began chanting, let her speak, because they understood we sent her here. She is the voice to represent us in government. If they don't have that, what do we have as our foundations in this country if not representation?
I suppose I'm going to be too woke here, but they've also been trying to harm you with the pronouns, correct? Like it's purposefully, it's meant to cut, is it not?
Yeah, but I'm used to the hypocritical nature of that, to call for civility while misgendering me. This is a group of politicians who've called for limited government, but have used government to take away the healthcare and the rights of communities that they disagree with. So it was meant to attack, but it did not catch me off guard.
Where are you with it as you speak to us now? Do you feel somewhat safer in your skin in a free America because you feel the people backing you, or do you feel isolated by legislation that is meant to attack you and you feel less safe than you did a year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago?
I have signed every press statement with the closing with pride and determination. And I feel both of those things. I feel proud of my community, both the LGBTQ community and my constituents, for standing up for democracy, for standing up and saying, this isn't how government should work. And I think I feel determined to try to write things as best as I can, to try to speak out against these bills, but also I think it was very clear that when Republicans kicked me off the House floor, much like when Republicans expelled people in Tennessee, the world turned and looked and said, this is objectively wrong. This is not how our country should work. And they've learned that there are folks on the extreme right of this country who would toss away democracy to get their ideological goals. And when you see that, and when you see the support that rises from people who recognize that is wrong, it's hard to feel anything but hope.
Speaking on hypocrisy, it seems like lately there's been a sudden interest from especially Republican politicians in women's sports. And I know that this is now somewhere where I know you as yourself as a sports fan and as an elected representative have seen transphobia now be injected into especially youth sports. So as someone who is in government, how has sports become a weapon to wield against people in the trans community?
So we saw the attacks on trans athletes in sports as the initial injection point for the people whose goal is not protection of sports. Their goal is, to use their words, the elimination of trans people from public life entirely. They targeted sports because they thought that was an inroad. And that's what we saw at the states, and it's what we're seeing this year at the federal level. And as you point out, it is, they will use one example of an athlete doing well, Leah Thomas, NCAA swimmer. They'll use that example and then ignore the fact that Leah Thomas's record was beaten by a cisgender athlete the very next year. And so they use it to drum up fear in a venue they think will get play. But I could talk all day about trans people and trans athletics and how that is an important part of our existence as well.
But so help me understand this part of it. Help me understand wherever it is that there is to be some sort of understanding for people who think just much differently about these things and say, well, no, this is where I draw the line. In a swimming pool in Pennsylvania, Leah has gone through what she has gone through because she wants to dominate these meets. She wants to join a community with higher suicide rates, a community that's going to be preyed on so that she can beat other women at swimming. It's used as a cruel weapon against you, but what do you say to the people that are like, well, in the combat sports or the physical sports, men have a physical advantage, and now you're contaminating sports. It's the only place we can make this argument and rationalize away. We don't think all people should be equal.
So there's a handful of things I look at. The first of which is underlying no trans person is transitioning to win athletics. If you're in the NCAA, you're going on hormone replacement therapy for years before you're competing in athletics. And trans people are just not doing that. We're doing it to live happy, fulfilling lives. Secondly, I'd say trans people are underrepresented in athletics. We compete at a lower rate than our peers. We win at a lower rate than our peers. And then thirdly, I think about, obviously there's the science that says that we actually don't have an advantage. Leah Thomas was 10 seconds behind the men's world record prior to her transition, and then 10 seconds behind the women's world record following. But I think about what it means as a trans athlete. And if your thought is that trans athletes shouldn't win, imagine telling your child growing up, yes, you can play sports. Yes, you'll develop the understanding of teamwork and working hard and bettering yourself. But make sure you take third. Make sure you don't work hard. Don't work too hard. Because if you are successful, well, then everyone's going to say, well, we shouldn't allow you in there. And to me, that is contrary to the very nature of sports and working hard.
It is a complicated issue that governing bodies have had difficulty trying to make rules for, but I just can't give much credence to someone alleging that someone would be putting themselves through this to dominate a swim meet. I mean, listen to yourselves somewhat. Like, what?
No, but that's
like they want to dominate in sports.
No, but that's where,
and they're putting themselves through all this trauma and all this physical pain to just become who they feel they are to win a swim meet. I can't even grasp that reality.
Well, but correct me if I'm wrong, though, Representative Zephyr. Isn't this the argument that can be made? Well, there I get to feel more right about my ideas about who's equal and who's not equal. No, I can file it under religion. I will not make gender something that's on a spectrum. I can win the argument of, you understand why somebody who is a man shouldn't be boxing with somebody who's a woman physically. And you understand that that would be the nature of the division that uses you as a weapon.
So the argument underpinning why trans women shouldn't be in sports is their argument is that they do not believe trans women are women. And I will say full stop, trans women are women. Like, there's not an asterisk on my womanhood. And I say this as someone who was a cross-country runner, who was a 5-time state wrestling champion, who has watched the shifts in my body, the shifts in my athletic ability. The percentiles I fall in are the same for women now as they were for men. And I think it's important that the people seeking these attacks are coming in, kind of as you mentioned, not with I really deeply care about women's sports issues and here's what I want to talk about. They're coming in saying trans women aren't women and I'm going to use whatever arguments I can for that. And then you look at high-level cisgender women athletes like Megan Rapinoe coming in and saying, actually, no, trans girls belong in sports. Trans people belong in sports.
But there's also a level of just baked in sports misogyny, good old misogyny in there, right? Like, can you speak to how just I find it incredibly frustrating when I see former professional female athletes that are anti-trans women in sports because they are admitting that there is like a different level of competition and that women are worse than men at sports, just blanketly. And I'm wondering what your thoughts are on that as a former athlete.
What we see is, resources. What are the resources for training facilities? What are the monetary investments so someone can spend their time dedicating themselves to a sport? Growing up, I think even something like chess, like who is getting the opportunities at a young age to make those trainings happen? And I think that's what we see across women's sports. We see less funding, less attention, less money. And that will ultimately, that leads to issues. And then it leads to the question of like Biden's Title IX proposed policy says, you can't have blanket bans against trans people, but if scholarships are on the line down the road. And I picture like a young trans girl who's on her basketball team, starting at age 9, playing with her girlfriends, working hard, et cetera, has a great time, and then gets to her senior year and they say, we know you've been playing with the team for 6 years, but there's scholarships here. So now you can't. But don't worry, badminton or something that maybe doesn't have as many scholarship opportunities. That's fine for you. You can go there.
We have,
and so,
forgive me, we've run out of time. I didn't mean to interrupt you. The thing that you mentioned about Biden also felt hurtful, though, correct? The idea that he has been making a different argument until now, and now Biden, you do not have what feels like support from the top from anybody, correct?
What I would say is you have good intention, a desire to protect trans people. But when trans people aren't there crafting the policies, you see the gaps. And to me, the Biden policy needs to make sure that it acknowledges trans people belong in sports. If there are reasons for their partial exclusion, medical transition, waiting for that, there needs to be a pathway for competition at all levels of sports. I don't think there was malice in Biden's work, but I do think it missed the mark. And it's important, if we're going to protect trans people and trans athletes, we need to make sure we get it right.
Thank you for the time, Representative. We appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
hockey and knows MLS.
Better than anyone.
It was a weird reaction the other day, Roy. It was strange that you got so mad. You got very mad, protective of your hockey tweets.
Leaves the power play.
That was today.
That's my ski.
No, it was yesterday. Roy snapped. That's as angry as I've ever seen him.
He's like, at least I'm credentialed. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm getting drunk with Dan Marino right now.
He hit you up. No. Chris, Cody,
This is a
Chris, you
choice.
didn't see these office politics. Roy,
No, I was here for this.
Roy cut Mike Ryan with, you don't have a credential. You are less of a journalist than I am.
And then Mike hit him with, you think I care?
You think I care?
But he does care. See, this is the thing.
I
Mike
don't care.
I
I would prefer the free parking, but then
Mike wants to drink, though.
I
Mike
Free
wants to
parking,
drink.
honestly, is worth it. Mike, you should just get credentialed like I do and never use the credential.
Who
Just
says I'm
get
not
the free
drinking?
parking.
Yeah.
Don't say that out loud,
Don't
Chris.
say that out loud.
This is
Well,
not
no,
on
don't
air.
say
Oh,
that
this
out
is on
loud,
air?
Roy.
This is
No,
not
yeah,
on
this
air?
is all on air.
No.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Bleep
Mike
that out.
Ryan,
Bleep
this
that out
is
too.
what
Mark it.
what you guys do not understand. Look, man, Mike Ryan wants to be a big Hollywood player, and he wants to be a hybrid. His job title at Meadowlark Media is maker of cool. He insisted on it. It's obnoxious.
Is it? You keep saying that. I'm going to go right now to the, the
ask.
org chart.
It's
No, I'm gonna go to
obnoxious.
the
I
org
keep
chart.
saying that. It's ridiculous. Mike Ryan wants to not only be big deal maker, he doesn't only want to be insider guy with expertise on every sport. He undercut you by wanting to be bigger and better at hockey than you are. He does this. He comes in, storms in, I'm the hockey expert now, and there's no breath for anybody else on the show. No room.
I tell you what, I don't mind it because hockey needs to be talked about. Like, we're not talking about it enough. So
Others are allowed to talk about it other than Mike and Surfer Guy with expertise given to you through binoculars from about a solar system away.
I am
from the
rather
action.
benevolent.
Well said.
I am
Maleficent.
I am very caring, and I share the ball when it comes to hockey knowledge.
The puck, you mean?
Yes, and I've
Pass
carried
the puck.
and I've carried on this charade that I am not the foremost hockey expert, and it's just not true.
I'm looking at your bio, right? It says executive producer / talent under your name.
It does.
Yeah, talent. What does talent mean?
Hybrid.
Someone's gonna have to hear about that.
Oh, by the way, his picture is him. Like, if I look at the camera.
Oh, they
looking
put
at
me
him,
up there.
You got like your hands clasped.
They
on your
actually
chin.
You have
listen
a
to me.
picture on the org
Yeah,
chart?
he
Well,
looks.
because I said something in
Why?
because I said something in a meeting. I'm like, I have a bunch of people patting me on the back, telling me I'm doing a great job. But when I Googled the org chart, I'm not there. And immediately afterwards, this is called the moving and the shaking. I got a picture up there.
Well, this is the
Just
thing.
with the wrong title.
All right. I want to. No, you say the wrong title. People think this is a joke. It's obnoxious. It really is. And I'll tell one day the stories of how the company almost blew apart on the first day because he's the maker of cool shit. And it's ridiculous for that to be his job title. And he insisted on it. It was his only job
Better
demand.
than Minister of Heat Propaganda.
Mine's just maker of.
Mike, tell the people that I'm lying.
Sometimes not even for our own media company.
Tell the people that I am lying that you insisted on an org chart that had you not under anybody in the org chart as some maker of cool shit. Ridiculous job title, and that it was your only job demand.
I didn't insist on it. I just kind of said it, but
It was your only demand.
no,
It's obnoxious.
Back to the heart of the matter, which is my hockey expertise, which far surpasses that of anyone on this show. Yeah, I don't care that I'm not credentialed. I actively don't want to be credentialed because while you're out there hobnobbing with George Richards, I'm asking Justin Thomas how the Greens are playing today.
oh, good for you.
Well, Roy, that's not much of a comeback.
Yeah, I know. I really don't care.
I'm
about
sure
hanging with
Justin loved
celebrities.
that interaction.
Oh, yeah.
Well, this is what's happening at the games.
I don't actually talk to him. Celebrities don't talk to each other. It's a whole,
Chris Cody, this is what's
just a
happening.
little head nod and a little toast.
Chris,
You got to talk
Very
about the
expensive
things
glass.
in the suite.
Yeah.
You got to be like, man, these nachos
Yeah.
are great, aren't they?
Yeah, I was at sushi.
Yeah.
That's how you humanize them. There you go, Chris.
This game's crazy. Give him a little elbow nudge.
See, you're born for this.
Yeah. Chris is a schmoozer.
Hey, is that Mr. Eats
Chris,
305?
have you ever been to Summer League?
What do you think
Oh,
about
can I come?
You'd be great at
Show me
Summer
the
League.
works.
Oh, man.
Ropes?
Yeah.
Mr. Eats
That's what it
305?
is.
Show
How
me the works.
amazing is
The
this
works
beef
is something.
Wellington?
show me the works. Like you want to be singing in Vegas and have it be a car wash. Like get you the works on what is Vegas Summer League.
I
with
pictured
the
like
meme.
a salad bar, and he's like, "Give me the works."
Put it on the poll then, please, Juju at LeBatard Show. The works. Do you picture a car wash or a salad bar?
Ooh, I like what you're talking about, like that $9 car wash. Yeah, give me that one.
Oh, wait, shout out
It's
to
$3.99, not for me today. Give me that $9 one. Give me
Chris.
the works.
Bring back the car wash idea. Remember that, Chris Cody's car wash. Trucks, we wash them.
I've been wanting somebody to produce that idea, but nobody wants to make that
What
idea.
is the idea?
I'd have to go to Salt Lake City. I noticed in Salt Lake City that all cars are dirty, so I was like, I should open a car wash out here.
I
Like,
noticed
"Come
in
on
Miami,
down."
people wash their cars every day here.
A lot of people want to make business deals with a climbing Meadowlark Media, and Mike Ryan wants to be a deal maker. And what I'm
I don't
telling
want
you,
to be a deal maker. I've brought together a lot of deals already, so that would make me an active deal maker.
okay, fine, you are an active deal
Deals
maker.
that you're actively trying to undercut with almost every show.
Mike, what did you say during the break about yourself like a few minutes ago?
Oh, geez, I really am. Yeah. Like I get it. Every time someone complains about, hey, Mike is dominating conversation, he's talking too much. My God, no one cares about Messi. Yeah, I'm like, yeah, you're probably right, but you're still listening, and I'm here, and you make your money, and I make mine.
Deal guy.
Well, it's more
Die.
obnoxious. It's more obnoxious than that because you don't have any idea how hurt he
It's
has
hard to
been.
get more obnoxious than that just was.
No, I'm about to give you more obnoxious than that just was because this is what I'm telling you is the source of the tension in here. And it's a legitimate tension. And the way it spilled out a couple of days ago was with Roy spitting out of the side of his face, you're not the hockey guy I am. And Mike, with a lot of bluster, cut him back with, you're not credentialed, just cut him back with. And this is a very specific joke meant for very few. I know where you sit in that arena with your binoculars, Roy. You are as far from the action as you can be with George Richards, which is a very specific comedic name and type that he's pointing out, which is 50-year-old hockey guy who's been fighting those press boxes forever. The media...
It's a Roger Nielsen Memorial Press Box.
George
Get
Richards
it right.
George Richards has his picture up there. They have a thing. If you've been covering the team long enough, he's
Legend.
got it. Yeah.
Legend. But...
Jeff Rimmer's up there.
Yes, Jeff Rimmer, another legend. All of them cast into the solar system far away from where Mike's hobnobbing with Dan Marino.
Yeah.
Much closer to the action.
Yeah.
Much closer because the media has been sent into the sky.
Yeah, no, but hold on,
And
hold
Mike
on.
is saying there's no honor in the credential anymore.
Hold on. We should clarify that in hockey, traditionally, the press box is at the top, right?
Correct.
Staples is like that. TD Garden is like that. All the hockey arenas around the league, you can tell this is a hockey arena because they'll have the press box and all the restrooms
Yeah.
and everything upstairs.
And historically, the movers and shakers are where? Not up there. No. While you're learning about is that a two-line pass or not with Jameson Olive, I'm out there having
doesn't exist
sushi
anymore.
with John Conjemi. That's right.
Jimmy.
The John Conjemi.
Okay, who are the local legends in this market?
This is a deep local hour.
Oh,
we're gonna
Jess,
do it now.
do
Now we're
not
here.
question. I know one of the 12 college football teams you follow. Do not ask aloud who John Conjemi is,
Okay, Mike has now gone hyper local.
as that would be embarrassing for you.
Who are the local legends? Because there are about a dozen of them. And George Richards is one, but he is an outcast. He's one of the old he's one of the old print journalists. Hockey forever. That's the crowd Roy runs with.
I just Googled John Conjemi, and apparently he played in the Canadian Football League, including for a team called the Miami Hooters. I didn't know Miami had a CFL
Oh,
team.
wait. John Conjemi. Pitt Panther legend John
Yes.
Conjemi?
Yeah. Wow.
Oh, that John Conjemi.
The John Conjemi.
CFL
Miami Hooters
guy.
Yeah.
Insiders.
Dolphins broadcaster and very close friend of Dan Marino. Super, almost as close as I am, even though I've never spoken
'cause they
to
both
him.
went to Pitt.
I will say, I went to this Panther bar, though, and we saw Shane McMahon there the previous game. My man Bryce over at the Panthers was so nice to invite me over there, and we're talking about, this is a sweep. I wonder who we're going to see in there today. Open the door, boom, it's Dan Marino, and my wife has no idea. No idea.
She's never watched Ace
I'm
Ventura.
like- I'm like, that was pretty cool. And she's like, what? I was like, Dan Marino. She was like, where is he?
In her defense, he kind of just looks like some guy.
Dude, she did this game 4 of the Bruin series where I'm in like a private elevator and in walks Wayne Gretzky. Yeah. And I'm with my daughter and Cynthia's not paying attention. I'm like, because that's pretty cool. I don't get starstruck at all, even when it's Dan Marino.
The great one.
But when it's the great one, I got starstruck. And I tried to explain it to her, and she's like, he's short.
Yeah.
What?
That happens.
He's God.
$38, $37, $36, $35, $5.
No, do it. Don't do the whole thing.
Oh, 30, $35, $34, $33, $32, $31.
You're going too fast.
What's next? 30,
Slow it down.
29,
Slow it down.
28, 27, 26, 25, 24, 23, 22, 21, 20, 19, 18, 17, 16, 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Happy New Year!
Can you guys believe that SportsCenter right now is breaking down a Week 12 matchup in the NFL? Like, Dan Orlovsky's on my screen right now giving me bullet points on this matchup.
Football rules. Football at all times. Football no matter what else is going on. Football must be sold. The broadcast partners have been bought. Football is the infomercial that sustains us. They will keep the economy going. Prepare for more football at all times everywhere you consume your sports.
You know what'd be great is if he breaks it down, also trying to guess what the injuries are going to be come Week 11 in the NFL. Now, keep in mind, Tyreek Hill, he's dealing with his turf toe in this game. So Tua's going to have to go through his progressions, but guess what? It's not Tua. It's Mike White because he's also hurt.
That would be a great show. I wish we were doing that show. I wish Amin were doing that show. We can't spell his name right in the press release.
Yeah. Damn. I mean, imagine my excitement. Like, oh, it's here. And everyone's sending me congratulations notes, and I'm getting the link. And I'm like, oh, this is awesome. And I click on the link, and I scroll. I'm nowhere near the top of the thing. I'm scrolling. I get to the part where my name is there, and it's like, why is there a huge space and a capital H in my name?
Nah.
Did we do a poor rollout of our big media? Amin Al-Hassan's got a new show. Jessica's got a new show. The network is growing. The things that we've been spending millions of dollars on in video is going to be birthed into something, and we got his name wrong.
That's unfortunate, but you can look at the bright side. Your name was in it.
That's true.
That's cool.
What's at the top of the release? Is it just DraftKings and LeBatard Show? Kick ass!
Something like that, yeah. Which I'm fine with, I just, would have liked nice to, be able to print it out and frame it,
For 13 years working on this show in the early days, I would run to the paper to see what Barry Jackson wrote. And surely he would mention the producer or at times the executive producer. Nay.
No?
No.
I
Nary
like
a
Barry.
mention.
Well, you say you like Barry, and this brings me back to the great John Congemi and us laughing with uproarious laughter at local sports legends. But I think the mistake Mike Ryan made, and I don't think this is the thing, as he hobnobs with Marino, that he's not understanding about Roy and Roy's identity with this Panthers team. Roy knows that he is and is treated when there as a local hockey broadcasting legend. He cared about this team when young people were young people. When Mike was interning for the Panthers,
you were a baby.
Roy was a member of the media who was respected. Roy, is there anywhere in your life?
I don't think that's right.
I need a timeline.
I don't think that timeline works out.
How many years have you covered the team full time? Because you have to do 10 years to get your picture.
Yeah,
on
I would
that
say
thing.
Roy is
He's hit the
certainly
10-year.
considered more of a broadcasting Panther legend.
But when he says credentialed, you think this stuff doesn't matter.
No, it
but
does.
I will
You
tell
get a
you,
plaque.
I will tell you, Amin Al-Hassan, he's still got the credentials. He gets into Madison Square Garden when there's a big game.
I mean, so do I.
But he doesn't have to pay. He is credentialed.
Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't.
But his resume, his journalistic bona fides. I mean, you are proud of this, are you not?
I am proud of the fact that, yes, almost universally across this league, I send an email.
Really? Even at the Mecca?
Almost universally across this league, I send an email and I say, hey, I'm coming, and they accommodate me one way or another.
All right. Also phrasing. But, wow.
It's an odd thing to email.
So You're saying it's
and they
wait.
accommodate.
You're saying it's actually really easy to get credentialed?
I'm credentialed for tomorrow's Heat game.
It's not easy.
No,
it's easy for
no,
me.
but you say your credential is because you roll with us.
Yeah.
But okay.
And I specifically don't want to roll with you guys. I'm just out there
Well, here's-
moving and a shaking.
Here's the reality, right? The reality is when Mike does it his way, Mike gets to get drunk and be loud, obnoxious fan.
I don't get drunk all the time.
We have
all
to
the
be
time.
professionals who go there and we carry with us the burden of integrity.
That's
Dan.
why it's better to go as a fan. I'm with
Right.
Mike on this.
Right.
Like, I've been credentialed for. I still go to Panthers games as a fan, even though I have a credential. It's just a way better experience.
Way better.
But the media get free liquor after the game.
I mean,
Roy.
No,
That's,
no,
that
no,
can't
that's
be.
not
Yeah,
free.
No, that
I'd be
can't
up there
be.
if
That
that was
can't
true.
No.
They're not free beers after the
No.
games
No.
anymore.
Dude, that's what.
Very hospitably, the Panthers provided me free liquor.
This isn't the 80s anymore.
No,
Yeah, 20 CV
don't
over
I
here.
don't
I wish
think
it was
you
the
ca-
80s.
Yeah.
Roy, forgive me. You're going to
this
tell
isn't
me.
Mad Men.
Wait a minute. Roy, you're going to tell me that if I go into a Canadian press box after a hockey game, a Canadian press box,
I don't know about Canada. I know that they're not doing it in Florida. I don't think they did it in
Those,
Tampa.
those days are over. Like, I know what you're talking about because I remember those days, right? I remember there being beers in the fridge in the press box and beers in the fridge in the locker room. Those days are done. man.
Cowboy Stadium used to do that. I think they were the last ones to do it. I'll just
Roy,
say, my dad told
when
me.
did the Panthers take this away? Did the Panthers
Look
ever
at me,
do this?
Daddy.
I don't think the Panthers ever did that. The Heat did it. They took it away, and
Yeah,
that was very sad.
It was taken away. Now, Dan. Now, I got to tell you, I got a great story, like up around these terms, right? So Charles Barkley tells a story about he played with this guy named Richard Dumas, and if you guys don't know, Richard Dumas played on that '93 Suns finals team. He was a very dynamic player. Unfortunately, he had his demons with substance abuse. He once said he hadn't played a game sober since the age of 12. Which is a pretty mind-blowing thing.
And
right?
he was an excellent player,
He's
right?
13.
Like, he was an NBA player who was always playing drunk, and Richard Dumas had a nice career, correct?
Well, he had a nice career when he was eligible to play. He just kept failing tests, and ultimately he washed out of the league, even though when you see he was undeniably a huge part of that successful 1993 team. Anyways, when he's coming back from one of these suspensions, Jerry Colangelo calls the team together and he says, guys, Richard's coming back. We want to support him. A big part of recovery is having a strong and stable support system, so we want to be there for him and help him through this time. And Charles stands up and says, that's right, Jerry, and I think I speak for all the guys, say, whatever we can do to help our brother, we're here for him any way you need and any way he needs. And Jerry says, I'm glad you said that, Charles, because I want to get rid of the post-game beers in the fridge. And Charles says, allegedly, how fast can we trade him?
Mike Ryan, as you're becoming a person hobbing and nobbing and moving and shaking.
Yeah,
And
hopping all the knobs.
the
I'm
po-
not necessarily becoming this person.
The power.
I
Okay,
am
you,
him.
you are him. Fine. It's obnoxious, and the power has gone to your head in ways that make people uncomfortable. And what I am now being sent via text, as I am expected to start managing some of the personalities in this company, is David Sampson sending me a tweet. Oh wow. Could Le Batard be bumping Sampson like Kimmel bumps Matt Damon and never has him on the main show again after all of the backlash last week?
It's a good bit.
Okay, well, Mike Ryan has now, I mean, people look forward to that Thursday hour with Sampson. And evidently, a decision got made on Sampson outside of my purview that was like, you know what, everybody, enough Sampson for everybody. Don't want to alienate more of the audience. Enough Sampson last week. It was too much Sampson.
More me.
More less
That's
obnoxious
what Mike said in the
you.
meeting.
No,
That's-
that's it. What color is my hat?
This hat is black knot.
Yeah, so I'm not afraid to wear it either.
Oh!
You understand? You want me on that wall. You need me on that wall. Do you know what a bad decision? What, we haven't had enough David Sampson around here lately. You know what a bad decision it would be after a night in which two local sports teams play playoff games in which they could have advanced to the next round and failed to do so, and we're coming out the gates with Let It Ride starring Richard Dreyfuss. Nay. And I did that as a pun because Let It Ride is a movie about horse racing.
And Richard Dreyfuss wants to be in blackface again.
That controversy
Hold
was
up, what?
amazing. Richard Dreyfuss.
The again part is
Richard-
Again? And he wants to be. Like, this has been taken away from him.
Well,
Yeah.
Richard Dreyfuss is one of these guys, not unlike Dean Cain, not unlike celebrities throughout the universe where you've been like, huh, okay, that's what you think. You're going to the end as the guy from Jaws as, nope, and I should also have all the parts as a white man. Don't take away my thespianism. Don't take away my art. All the parts should be available to me. Yes, Dreyfuss is dying on that hill. He doesn't believe that filmmaking needs to be as diverse as it's become.
I don't even know when the last movie he was in. I don't know what movie.
Oh no, I've seen recently. This is a bitter Richard Dreyfuss. No, I've seen him in like 3 movies, and I'm like, oh, the parts are that bad for you now. Where I'm like, oh, every window is closed. You used to be somebody, and not a little somebody.
Well, let's Google.
No, Richard Dreyfuss.
I'm
Look,
reading-
that's
I'm reading-
Jaws. Richard Dreyfuss, man. Richard Dreyfuss was
Overrated.
What about Bob?
This is awesome.
Richard Dreyfuss is 5'5".
This is what this
Okay.
is what he said
Yeah.
about Laurence Olivier's performance in Othello, in which the English actor played the Shakespeare lead in blackface. Quote, he played a black man brilliantly. Am I being told that I will never have a chance to play a black man?
Do you know how difficult it is to make Roy Scheider look tall?
And Leathery Roy. He looks like the sea.
Sequest. File.
Yeah, yes.
Is everyone here
You know,
on
Jonathan Brandis
Rest in
actually
power.
had predicted the future with a world championship jersey for the Florida Marlins. Look it up.
I
Sequest.
thought Back to the Future 2 did that first.
No, that team lost. They lost to the Cubs.
That's right. Chris Cody always fascinated when Roy knows something with certainty from 40 years ago that he dusts
He's
off
so
the
old.
shelf in the back of the room. It's strange.
It's been 40 years.
I mean, hasn't it been? Jaws is more than that.
I just always imagine Roy's born at like 30 years old. Like he just came out 30.
Like,
Credential.
Yeah.